Hendrik Verwoerd, the architect of apartheid, said in 1963, Israel, like South Africa, is an apartheid state. Since then, there have been several senior and more appropriate South Africans who have compared apartheid South Africa to current-day Israel, one including Ahmed Kathrada, Denis Goldberg, Kader Asmal and Nzimande. As part of the 10th Israeli Apartheid Week campaign, the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation this weekend launched an international campaign lobbying for the release of political prisoner Marwan Barghouti and other Palestinian political prisoners as well. Now, Marwan Barghouti is a Palestinian political prisoner currently in Israeli detention. He has been touted as the Palestinian Mandela, a unifying figure across Palestinian political divides, with even some support in Israel. Well, joining us now this morning is Marwan Barghouti's son, Qassam Barghouthi. It's good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
A lot of people may not have heard of your father and the struggle that he is fighting for. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, Marwan Barghouti, for the Palestinian people, first of all, for me, he is my father, and we are like very sad and very affected by his absence from the family and from the house. For the Palestinian people, he's a leader that sacrificed his own freedom and paid the price to get the freedom for the Palestinian people, and he's always stated that he is willing to pay the price to have his people free, living with dignity and peace eventually. Yeah. So he's, I think, an influential figure within the Palestinian society and within the Palestinian political life, and I think his effect has been increasingly affecting the Palestinian society since he was arrested in 2002. He's been in prison now for 12 years. And last year we just launched the international campaign to free Marwan Barghouti and all political prisoners. And it was launched from here, from South Africa, from Robben Island, which is a big honor for us as a family to have this support from symbols of freedom and symbols of freedom fighters who fought for the dignity and for the freedom and independence of their people.
How long has your father been in jail now?
As I said, since 2002.
Since 2002.
So it's been almost in April 15th. It will be 12 years. 12
years that he's been in prison fighting for the freedom of the Palestinian people, exactly. And the rights of the Palestinian people.
I think this is an occasion like to speak about all the political prisoners in Palestine. Nowadays we have more than 4,500 Palestinian political prisoners who are in Israeli prisons. Some of them exceeded 32 years inside the Israeli prisons, apartheid prisons. I think some of them are children under 16 years old. Some women are in political prisons. And this is a big indicator of how the apartheid Israeli system is rolling against the Palestinians and against the Palestinian struggle for independence and for freedom.
Yeah. In the introduction, we spoke about drawing a comparison between Israel and apartheid South Africa. Do you see those similarities? Is that how you view it right now?
Of course. We think like I came here to South Africa not only to talk to people, but also to learn about the South African experience. So what I found out is that we have like many similar issues in terms of apartheid and in terms of oppression against people in Palestine. If we take a look at the Israeli apartheid wall that surrounds all West Bank and separate people from each other, we will see apartheid there. If we look at the treatment of people on checkpoints and putting people in lines in cages, this is apartheid for sure. Using roads only for settlers that Palestinians cannot use, this is for sure an apartheid rule. And Palestinians will continue to struggle against this apartheid state, and we will continue to struggle to get our independent state, the Palestinian state, living peacefully with its neighbors and having our freedom just like any other people who struggled against oppression.
Yeah. You know, your father is referred to as the Palestinian Mandela. Why do you think such a comparison has been drawn? Obviously, the similarity of both of them being in prison, fighting for the rights, but
Yeah.
you know, what else?
Well, first of all, this is an honor for us, like, to have this comparison, because like Nelson Mandela is an icon for freedom all over the world, and he's like a freedom fighter who sacrificed his own life and for the freedom of his people. So Palestinians look at Marwan Barghouti as a person who is a unifying figure in Palestine, especially that we have a division between political factions in Palestine, especially between Fatah and Hamas, the two biggest political parties in Palestine. And he's always not only have stated and called for unity, but also have had the prisoners document, which is like the constitution for the two parties to unite.
All right. I'm going to ask you to stay on, Qassam, if you don't mind. We need to take the news at 7 o'clock,
Sure.
and we'll have a little bit more of a conversation at about 7:10, just to find out more about your dad and your living conditions, how the families are and the rest of Palestinians living within Israel are faced with at this time. All right, let's take a break.